but it'd be cool if you did.
We did not, though. Just so you know.
Yeah, oh, I'm aware. Okay, here we go. Starting to get some people in now. Great. Great. Hello, everybody. Mario, Clovar, Danny Lundy, Sherry Hare.
Hey, guys.
Can see well. Jane, hello. Can see well coming into the room right now. Robin Taylor, hello, Robin Taylor. How are you today? Oh, my gosh. Angie, Holly, Kelsey, Nelson, Nelzone, McClintock, Michael Kimberlin, hello,
hey,
Sean
guys. Hey,
Dyer,
Sean,
hello.
Nice to see you.
Drenara
Lisa,
Games.
nice to see you.
The
Big
Viz.
John.
The Viz is in the house.
The
Daryl.
Harrises, good to see you guys.
Carlo Williams. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our humble little abode, our little humble show. Sherry says she needs some non-dairy mac and cheese, please. We're going to talk about mac and cheese
too, I think.
We're going to talk about the mac and cheese. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are now
Amy.
getting ready to switch to the main camera. Here it comes. Doom,
Walking down the street.
we get the funniest looks from
That's the wrong camera.
everyone
There
we meet. Hey, we got mac and cheese. So get yourself some cheese. It's good. We've got creamy craft stuff. It goes in your belly like it should. Hey.
We don't have any mac and cheese, you guys.
No, we don't have any mac and cheese.
It's a billion degrees. I would like to know why Mac and Cheese Day is in July.
I believe that's a valid question.
It's a United States holiday, so why is it in July?
What if it was in November? Wouldn't that be great? Like
That would
late
be great.
November?
We would eat it every day. We would have like comparisons. We would do like a box versus another versus one made only with white cheeses versus one made with made with soft cheeses. Like there could be a whole different kind. But you know what this girl is not doing today?
Not get in front of that stove.
Not turning on that oven. Not one red scent. Not one.
Once upon a time in my very fancy life that I lead with I had a 7-cheese mac and cheese.
That's true.
It was so good. I remember taking one bite and then passing out, and I don't remember anything else. I woke up the next day.
Yeah, I agree. Sean,
that's how good it was.
that there is no bad time for mac and cheese. There is bad time for making mac and cheese, especially if you have an underground layer with daylight that is tiny, and turning on the oven to 375 degrees or 350 degrees is not a good thing on a summer
Not
day.
a good thing. Not only is it National Mac and Cheese Day, it is also Non-Binary Day of Visibility Day.
It is, yeah. So
the Non-Binary Day of Visibility. Okay, good.
It's also non-binary day of visibility. So because we're not making mac and cheese, but have a goodly number of non-binary friends, we thought we would bring that up. We probably will have some in the chat room today.
Probably.
And hopefully some of you somewhere, maybe if there's somebody in the southern hemisphere where it's colder, maybe eating mac and cheese, but it's not. It's kind of an American thing, so who knows?
You guys, we just saw Nicola Sansbury Smith is in the house. He is an author, pal of ours, and his book, Helldivers 7, dropped today. There was apparently some goofiness on the Audible, but I have it pre-ordered. So welcome, Nicholas, and congratulations on your book birthday. How fun to have you in the chat room on your book
congratulations.
birthday. We have a junkie question coming up, but we want to let you know if you have questions for the show, or there's bits you want to see, or any ideas at all.
Or you have celebrations anytime, any day of the week. You can send us celebrations for the next few weeks, anything like that. Send it to info@emptyset.com. You have questions, you have concerns, you have ideas for a sponsor, you have celebrations that you would like us to say out loud. Bring all that to us at info@emptyset.
Great.
As I said last week, I will go through the chat after the show and try and grab any questions that we didn't get answers or had time to answer, but it's infinitely easier if you send them to info@emptyset. I am keeping a clearinghouse document of all the questions that we haven't had, so if I don't get to it today, since we just do one today, I'll get there.
Let me cover what we're going to go over in the show today. You may notice we're not quite as chipper as we normally are. But we are going to make a French 75, and we're going to attempt to do that live on camera as you watch. If you went to scottsigler.com today, we had posted the recipe this morning, and you may have your own goodies. I hope you guys make it, or you make whatever beverage, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, you want. As I said, we have a junkie question coming up. We have one Siglerbration we're going to say in a second, but we also lost a friend yesterday, Grant Imahara, one of the cast members of Mythbusters, passed away. And we are going to be talking a little bit about that because A, knew him and I knew him a little tiny bit, but also we got a fun recap of his career to show you on the video. So get the Kleenex, ladies and gentlemen, because it's hard. It's hard when famous nerds and people who promote science all the time. It's very hard for us on this science-loving show when these people go. Hey, why don't we turn that frown upside down? Tell us about the Siglerbration today.
Okay, so this just started a few weeks ago. I started to ask for people, like, if you want things to celebrate on the Tuesdays or the Thursdays, let us know. And a whole bunch of you jumped in and said, I have these celebrations, but they weren't necessarily Tuesday or Thursday celebrations. And instead of, correcting you and saying you can only be Tuesday, Thursday, it made me happy. And so now, whatever you have to celebrate in the next few weeks, last Thursday we celebrated that Dan Lunday, who's in the chat room, supposed to be starting a new job this week. And,
yes.
Things like that. Because, it's going to be harder to celebrate everything. So why not do it as much as we can? So today's celebration is actually for tomorrow.
Okay.
And it's Shannon Bethany's birthday tomorrow. And she was in the chat room this past week and mentioned that.
All right, so, Shannon, way to go.
Happy birthday
Fantastic.
tomorrow.
Happy birthday tomorrow to you. Happy birthday today to you as well. Happy birthday, Shannon. Happy birthday to you. Okay, now it's time for our new experiment. We are going to try our new bit. I got you cranked up too high there, eh? So you got to listen for your volume, eh? When you lean in a little bit, might get that.
Will do.
Oh, that voice. Ladies and gentlemen, that voice. I liked it so much I married it. It's a gosh darn good voice.
I'm a single threat. I do one thing.
You are not single anymore. You are not single anymore, lady.
I talk a lot.
Put a ring on it. Put a ring on it. Oh. I'm going to have to learn how to do... Well, I'm learning to do
the lyrics.
4 seconds of that dance because the whole dance is ludicrous. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have some fun. If you brought your booze, if you brought your glasses, if you brought your mixers, get them out right now. Wait till you see this. Hold on. Oh, wait. Hey, I forgot we have one very important thing to talk about. We ran a contest. The contest was we ran a contest to design a square Siglocktails. Do I have that right? Yes.
Yeah.
A square Siglocktails logo that would forever be emblazoned on the show. And we have a winner. And here it is. Hey, tell them about the creators of this wonderful contextual deep cut meta thing.
I will. So Siglocktails is this logo came in this past week. If there are other folks working on logos and you're almost done and you want to send them in, you can do that. But this was the winner that we picked for now. I love it because it has the coronavirus in there. It has a little lock that says 2020. And it was made by junkies who join this chat often. Bethany and Brittany and Mike Natazzi, who hopefully are here or will be here and get a chance to see it. So they will win I think it was a $25
$25 at scottsigler.com/store.
Yeah.
And also
that's pretty sweet.
The cleverness, getting the COVID, the symbol of the show in here. If you can see our, go back to the show open real quick. Our little man in the bottom right corner, the SIGLERinPLACE, that he has COVID for a head. He has COVID for a head. So we come back to, here's our winner. And also batch 'em up. Batch 'em up is a phrase from a story of mine called The Hippo, Part 1 and 2, which were part of Jonathan Mayberry's V-Wars collection, Volume 2 and Volume 3. My character, The Hippo.
Oh, Mike is in the chat room.
Congratulations, Mike. We love it. It's fantastic. And now we go. Mike, this is where you will see your logo like this. Oh, and we have so much new stuff for you. We're going to do this new bit. And then also, we've got Showtime Cam. Or insert cam. I don't know what the hell you call it.
Cocktail cam.
Cocktail cam. Hey, why don't you hold something up to the cocktail cam right now?
I'll hold
Ladies
up
and gentlemen, this
syrup.
is... Oh, come back so you can see it right in the middle.
My cocktail.
Look at that.
Simple syrup.
It's
Yay.
amazing. You guys are going to get to watch
this is my little setup.
The beautiful, the stunning, lovely voiced A. Sigler get to... do you go by A. Sigler now or A.K. Sigler?
A.B. Sigler.
A.B. Sigler. Yeah. The beautiful and lovely A.B. Sigler is going to mix us a drink. All right, tell us about what do we got here. Let's walk through it.
We are starting this. This is if you guys were here last week. If you weren't here last week, you'll live through this. You'll hear it for the first time. Everybody else will hear it for the second or third or fourth time.
Okay.
Here's the new plan. On Mondays, I didn't get to do it yesterday because we had a big day yesterday. I was going to post it last night, and then we heard about Grant. So I didn't do it yesterday. I will say I will be posting that most of the time because I'm the cocktail person, but Scott did it today for me because I was having a hard morning. So.
Monday mornings, you can go to scottsigler.com and we will post the recipe that we will use on the Tuesday show, so you can make it along with us. And then on Thursday, we'll be drinking the same drink.
Yeah.
But we won't be showing it.
And you guys can join if you want. You can just watch. You can learn. You can do any version of this you want, including not drinking this drink ever. We had a handful of people say, like, oh, I can't drink gin, which is great. I can't drink. There's a handful of things I can't drink, and everybody has that. So if you don't want to play along, there's no harm in that. That's no problem. But what we're going to do is I'm going to make a drink this week, next week, and probably the week after. It sort of depends on how many we drink with the ingredients that I'm currently using, so that you guys don't stock up a bar that you don't care about if you want to play along the whole time.
So we're going to be mostly gin for the next
couple of weeks. We're going to be gin drinks.
And they can swap out vodka for gin.
You can. Okay. Well, for most gin drinks, obviously not a gin and tonic. That's a very particular juniper or floral taste specific to the tonic. But yeah, almost any. But people drink vodka tonics all the time. So some of them may change your flavor profile, but you'll still get the tools, the little bit of tools that I'm going to teach you here, that kind of thing. But really, join any way you want, or don't join at all. Just come back and see us, because we're all in this together.
Let's get started. What do we got? What do we start with,
So we're going to make the first thing that we're going to make, since this is the first day, is my favorite cocktail. It's called the French 75, and it is made of gin, simple syrup, lemon juice, and champagne. And champagne is truly my favorite alcohol. And I have a handful of friends in the chat room who can tell you I had a terrible 2016. I think it was sort of a training wheels for 2020. I'm not really sure. And I got through everything that went wrong in 2016, and then I decided I was going to drink champagne until the end of 2017, as every drink, because I deserved it.
Celebration time.
And
come on.
And we're probably just going to continue to do that. So French 75 is my very favorite drink. I'm going to make that to start with. If you want to suggest a drink, we have a very, very, very big liquor cabinet.
We do.
So you can suggest it. I'm not sure I will make it, but I have a lot of weird liquors too. So if you have never used falernum and you want to try that, things like that, just email that same thing to info@emptyset.com. I won't promise we'll make it, but I'll promise to try.
We didn't have falernum in Sheboygan. We had Jim Beam. We had Southern Comfort. We had Bud Light.
You had Mad Dog 2020.
Mad Dog 2020 is more the southern part of the state.
Fair.
Those were the only three beverages that were available. That and Faygo. That was it. Yeah. That's all we had.
I bet many, many, many people drank Faygo and vodka.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Faygo and vodka is really good, particularly for watching a football game. Okay, what do we got? We got a drink.
We're going to move to this camera then?
Yep. Well, we're going to go on and off that camera. There you're on that camera.
Hi, you guys. So here's how it starts. It's a pretty easy thing. I will tell you right now that we've not done the shaking live, so it might be really loud. So I'm going to turn away to shake this crap can.
I always turn away to shake as well. It's just common courtesy.
Also, I have pre-made some stuff because I didn't want to take 25 years to twist lemons and stuff. But so this is simple syrup. This is one of the ingredients. Simple syrup is equal parts hot water and sugar. So this is, I make it in batches. You can buy it from the store. It's, but you have to boil the water, dissolve the sugar in it, let it cool down before you use it in a drink. Next, lemon juice. This is squeezed lemon juice. I buy lemons whenever I go grocery shopping, and I don't use whole lemons a whole lot. So when they're getting kind of a little bit, starting to dry out and get a little bit hard, squeeze all the juice. I have a zillion of these, as you guys have seen on other SIGLERinPLACEs. So you can totally use already made lemon juice you buy at the store. You can squeeze your own. You can substitute lime juice if you hate lemons. I don't care. Anything like that. It's about enjoying the drink and
like a lemon to a lime or a lime to a lemon.
Yes. So the next thing that we're going to use is gin. This is Empress Gin. It's got a little orange flower on it because it was a gift for what you now know was my bachelorette party. I had a handful of wonderful friends throw me a surprise bachelorette party, and Empress Gin was featured. We had a friend make. I shared it with a friend of mine, and we had somebody make a drink for us called the fucking A. That included her favorite liquor, which is gin, and my favorite liquor, which was champagne. And
can we make that next week?
We can't make it next week, but we will make it when we can.
Okay.
But anyway, so this is a French 75. It's super easy to do. You need some kind of a shaker. I will tell you, I'm totally egalitarian. I don't care how. Some things it requires the right glass. Mostly that's for the bubbles. I think whiskey and cognac have a glass that you hold the base of so that it warms up. Champagne comes in a flute, or you should serve it in a flute because that helps the bubbles work correctly. You've probably seen that with a handful of beers as well. But I'm pretty egalitarian about this. If you have everything except the right shaker and the right glass, try this drink. Who cares? Drink it out of a coffee mug. It'll still taste good, I promise.
Here we go. With step one. Okay. Let's go to step one.
So here's step one. You got to have your frap can.
Side here so people can see.
It has ice in it. And you are going to take the recipe like Scott said. Whoops. I don't know what I did with my measuring cup, so I'm going to have to wing it.
Okay, cool. That's all right.
I'll use this instead. So you're going to use, I have actually a measuring jigger, but this is just a bullet, but it's about the same size. So
those are fancy words for measuring cups or shot glasses, you guys. If you, how does that compare to a typical shot glass?
This is probably about 2 to 2.5 ounces, I'm going to guess. A normal shot is 1.5 ounces.
Okay.
So it's a little bit bigger than that, but we're going to wing it.
Okay.
So you start with your gin. Mine is Empress Gin, Empress 1908 gin. You can use any sort of gin you want. I'm going to make a double because Scott and I are both drinking it. If you're playing along at home and you're drinking alone, just half everything I do. So for me, I'm going to put 4 ounces of Empress 1908 gin in my shaker. I'm going to have to work on this part.
Okay. Okay.
The microphone gets in the way. Sorry, you guys. We're working on it.
See that delicious Empress Gin going in there. We are not sponsored by Empress Gin, which is a bummer because it is purple and it is it's really good.
So that's your Empress Gin.
I don't like gin. I've never liked gin. And Empress Gin is pretty gosh darn palatable.
Yeah.
I will tell you that.
I will say this as well. If you guys are watching, as you get older, your palate will change. Sometime around 35 to 45, your palate will change. So I didn't like gin at all. It was much too aromatic. It was much too perfumey. It was too much. And around 40 years old, which I'm well past now, I started to be able to like, oh, that's not so bad. And I also started to be unable to drink really stinky beers. And I have no idea why they flip-flopped like that, but I'm good with it.
My palate changed as well. When I grew up, I would eat a cheese sandwich that is Wonder Bread, white bread, 1 slice of Kraft American cheese, and an incredibly thin, exactly evenly applied layer of Miracle Whip to the bread. And you could also substitute 1 piece of Oscar Mayer bologna for that cheese. You could not do both. You could not have too much mayonnaise because it overwhelmed my tiny little head. Basically, that's what I lived on until I was probably 12 or 13. So palates changed.
If you had a 7-cheese sandwich.
Oh, no, but I have had it since. We should make that someday. It's very difficult to eat. All right, what's next on the list?
So I have for one drink, you have 2 ounces of gin in there.
Okay.
And then you add an ounce of lemon juice. This is lemon juice. I'm going to pour 2 ounces because I'm making a double drink, but you're going to pour 1.
Bring in the double. Uno.
There it is.
That's 2. That's 2.
That's
1.
2.
Okay,
yep.
Right. Now, if you guys are making this at home, just throw us, say I'm making it, or put something in the comments.
Or if you make it for Thursday, let us know that too.
Let us know. I want to know if this is something, and I'm sure the first time people are probably going to, yep.
Likewise, this is simple syrup. It, like I said, you make this with boiling water, equal parts boiling water and sugar. Make sure that all the sugar dissolves, and then you chill it, and then you can use it. This is 2 ounces. You guys would use 1 ounce if you're just making one drink.
Should people make their own simple syrup, or should they buy the simple syrup?
Like I said, I'm sort of egalitarian. What I'll tell you is this. Drinks made from all homemade ingredients, fresh squeezed lemon juice, made from scratch, simple syrup. There's lots of bitters you can make. There's lots of all sorts of stuff. I'm not sure if Dan Baker is in the chat room, but he's a huge and talented craft cocktailer with a huge bar, and it's really lovely. So I will say they taste different and beautiful and layered and special to me anyway. That said, when you go and get a margarita at your favorite Mexican joint, they are not squeezing all those limes from scratch. They are using a concentrate, and that's also darn good. So whatever works for you works for me.
Next thing you can do is tell me there's no Santa Claus.
So then you've got just those 3 ingredients in there. You still have one more ingredient.
Boom. What's the next ingredient?
Well, we're not going to do that yet. The next ingredient is the champagne, but champagne has bubbles in it. So if you put it in a shaker and shake it, you'll flatten the champagne and you might explode the or you might explode the
see.
drink.
So lean away.
So you hang on. You leave the champagne out. You got everything else in there, and there's ice in there. I've got 2 big bricks of ice. You can use any kind of ice. It can be, as long as it's frozen water, you can use that. It'll be fine. So I'm going to turn away from the camera.
There might be a volume spike, but hold with us. Here we go.
Yeah. So I'm going to do this.
That's not bad. Well, we've got good mics.
So I did that. I also put a lot of all of these ingredients in the freezer before, so that I would not totally freak out the microphones. Then you open the cocktail shaker. Again, I'm egalitarian. If you do not have a cocktail shaker and you can shake it in a Tupperware, make sure it's one of those that are a Ziploc that totally screws down, because it could get everywhere if you don't do it right.
A is for sure establishing that she's egalitarian in this episode, you guys.
Well, I mean, it matters, because this is not, unless you make drinks, this is not a thing you have in your home, and I don't want you to feel like you can't play along. You can, we can wing it. It's fine. So then you split what's in this, and I'm making 2, so I'm splitting it in 2.
Splitsies. Look at this. Look at that. Ooh, look at that. It's good. I know I've had this before, you guys. We're only halfway home. We still got to bring in the batting fourth in the lineup, hailing from France. It's like a whole nother country. It's a bubbly beverage called champagne, and it's gonna come in and it carries a powerful punch. It's a powerful punch. It likes to swing for the right field fence. It prefers French ballparks because they're shorter and they don't quite have some high walls on the back.
Okay, we're done.
Yep. Okay.
So we're going to move back to this now. I'm going to teach you how to make a lemon twist. It's real easy. You start with a whole lemon. You cross-section one section like this. You make a little cut in it like this. See that? And then when it looks sort of Pac-Man-y. And then you peel or cut the whole rind off so that it's like this. And you try and take some of the pith out. I'm not going to do this whole thing because then it gets my hands really sticky.
Get the pith out of here.
But then you just curl it. Make sure the pith is gone. You curl it like that, and it holds its shape. And that's your little lemon. That's your little lemon twist. So, made the lemon twist. I'm going to put that back in there. Get my other twist.
Okay. This is diminished. No, we're just using this.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
And then, if you're a professional bartender, you don't lick your fingers, but I'm in the underground bunker, so I did. I'm using Lamarca Prosecco because
it's one of our favorites.
Incredibly tasty, and it's incredibly inexpensive. It is technically not a champagne. It is a sparkling wine.
I have been informed as I've gotten older that when there is something that is not expensive and you like it, you say it's not expensive. You don't say that's cheap as hell. I've been told that it is somewhat of a diminutive.
Whoop. Okay, so then you do that, and I will give you a hint if you have a sparkling wine or a beer. You probably know this if you're a beer or a sparkling wine drinker. But you pour down the edge of the glass so that it doesn't fuzz up and over, which it sometimes still fuzzes up.
The 45-degree angle frustrates the carbonation. It will not fuzz quite as much.
It will still fuzz, though, and then right at the top to get the nice little fuzzy head, you do that. Hope you measure it right. That's a little much.
Fuzzy Wuzzy was a beer.
Then you... Now that the fuzz has gone down, we'll top that a little bit again.
No,
and then this is a drink that you don't stir because of the carbonation, but some things you will. You'll stir with some kind of a spoon or something.
Shaken, not stirred.
You do this.
Oh, look at this, you guys.
And that's your French 75.
French 75. Round of applause. Round of applause. Let's get it up for, yay! For my wife, my partner in crime, I can't call you ABK anymore, right?
Yeah, you can call me ABK if you want. It could be like a nickname.
Cheers. And
cheers, you guys.
Here's to you guys. Look at this fanciness. This is my life now. This is like on Wednesday, it'll be like, would you like a cocktail? Yes. I'm like, yes, I would. This will show up. It's quite impressive. Let me try this.
See if he likes it. That's important too.
Oh, I'm getting bombed tonight. Getting blitzed.
Also, that is a very loud noise when you smack your lips.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. I did it again. I got in trouble for that on Story Smack.
Hey, Kishore, how are you?
Hey, Kishore.
Big day.
Story Smack. We'll be coming back. We're going to do a Story Smack probably next week. The movie is called Darkness Rising.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Darkness Rising. Chris Grawl, Mr. Happy, one of the secret agents in the world of Siglers, and one of my one of the people who helps me be accurate about the books, and he's the small unit tactics and firearms consultant, having served several tours overseas and trained SWAT teams, and also a hell of a guy. And he turned us on to this movie called Darkness Rising. It's on Netflix.
So fun.
It's free. It is a D&D troop. It is an indie movie, but after the first 10 minutes or so, we kind of lost track of like the things they couldn't do because it was an indie movie, and just started to accept like, okay, this is pretty good storytelling, pretty good acting, and just silly and ludicrous and fun. If you've ever played,
it's on Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix. Okay. If you've ever played D&D or any kind of role-playing game, Pathfinder, I don't care, whatever, you will enjoy this because it will remind you of your nerd friends playing D&D with them. And then after we do that one, we're going to do another movie by the same production company later. I tell you this because from now on, when we do Story Smacks, we're bringing them back. We're bringing them back in a big way. They are going to be.
Oh yeah, it's on Prime too.
It's on Prime too. They're going to be just
spoiled your ride.
They're going to be just like this. We're going to be doing Story Smack right here. You can watch it with us live. Then we'll also leave it up on YouTube wherever, and then we'll strip out the audio, put it back in the podcast feed. So we got that going. Mm-hmm. All right, you guys, have yourself one more. Let us have one more drink. Here's to all of you doing the best you can during these crazy times.
Mm-hmm. So if you have any questions about the drink, if you have drink suggestions, as you know, info@emptyset.com. And if I were a bartender and you had 3 of these without any food, I probably would cut you off until you ate something, because they're got 2 ounces of gin in it, and then it has 3 ounces of champagne. That's quite a lot. So for some drinks are a lot lighter alcohol. So there you go.
Ooh,
cheers, you guys.
Cue this up. And now it is time for our... Last week we had a sponsor. That means somebody actually paid money to be on the show. Actually, they paid money to be on the podcast, which I don't blame them. Everybody should be paying money to be on my podcast. But we gave them an upsell. We said, how would you like to stick this up? Sell. And we put them on the show. Now we go back to our traditional advertiser, which is a charity. We do one charity a week. And this week's charity is...
the Joe Negro Foundation.
Yep.
Yes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this. It might be a little bit hard for me, but I'm going to try real hard. I chose this charity, of course, because the Joe Negro Foundation is a research organization, a support organization for people who have come to brain aneurysms, arterial venous malformations, hemorrhagic strokes, things like that, as all of us are learning today if you were a geek and a fan or a friend of Grant Imahara. I will tell you, I'm a little teary because one of my very best friends in the entire world introduced me to this charity years ago because she was diagnosed with an arterial venous malformation in her skull and in her brain, and in 2016 underwent surgery to remove it. And the only grace was that she had warning signs. She knew in advance it was there. And you guys, I have asked her permission before I shared any of this, but you guys know her. She's the goddamn dog sitter. Mm-hmm. She's one of my very best friends. She's in the chat room right now. And last night, when all of this came out, I chatted with friends, and I said, it's just so awful because, you know, it brought up a whole bunch of emotions with Amy, because the only grace is that Amy was brave enough to go through the surgery, and she had the warning signs. And I asked her permission specifically to read you guys this text. I encourage you to go to joenicofoundation.com to learn about this and donate if you have the means. If not, certainly spread the word, because there are some warning signs. I'm not sure specifically about Grant if there were any, but a lot of times the first warning sign is the aneurysm that destroys the person.
The stuff on here is scientifically and medically is absolutely fascinating. You guys, this is actually a pretty good site to check out. You're like, holy, it's very, very complicated, but go ahead. Go through.
So I'm just going to read these 2 things, and then we're going to maybe go on from there, because I'm not sure what else I can talk about. So I texted Amy yesterday or earlier today. I'm a little overwhelmed, I guess, in a good way, thinking that this might have happened to you were you not brave enough to do the hard thing in 2016, which was open cranium surgery, and lucky enough to know it was there. And she said this, which is so informative and good. This is the thing. Knowing it is there Not a day goes by that I don't thank my lucky stars that I was given the chance to know without rupture and able to receive treatment, that the treatment was successful and with minimal side effects. There are so many things that had to fall in place in my life. It just hits me in the gut when I see things like this where Grant and so many others never even got a chance to agonize over what choice to make and what to do, and never got a chance to end up with a positive result. Survivor's guilt is a real thing, and it hits quite hard sometimes. And I'm so grateful every day for Amy in my life, and it just hits that much harder to know that there are people who are missing Grant in that reason. She described it as a medical car accident, where there's no notice and somebody's happy and healthy, and then they're gone. So this week we're going to donate to the Joe Niekro Foundation. Joe Niekro was a pitcher for the Houston Astros, and he was in retirement. He was 61 years old, and it was a few weeks before his daughter's wedding. She had just talked to him about all the plans for the wedding, and the next morning he had an aneurysm rupture in his brain, and he died. And his daughter, Natalie, started this foundation to help people who are either deal with it once they lose somebody that they love or what have you. So I will give you a few stats. I would encourage you, especially if it's on your mind today, to go learn a little bit of the warning signs. But I will tell you that there are currently about 6 million people in the U.S. who have an unruptured brain aneurysm. And every 18 minutes in the United States, an aneurysm ruptures. 50% of those people who have an aneurysm rupture, 50% of every 18 minutes, they will die instantly. Of the 50% who survive or who remain, half will suffer a delayed death in the next few days. That's actually what happened to Joe Niekro. He died, I think, the next day or later that night.
Okay.
And the remaining survivors will likely suffer severe brain deficits. My dear friend Amy has very minor lingering deficits that I can see, but I have no idea what she goes through every day. She's a little bit of speech disruption sometimes when she's quite tired. She tells me also that she gets worn out. She has brain fatigue every now and then, but I'm sure there are other things. So take a second to give yourself a minute to see the warning signs, just in case you ever see there's sort of violent vomiting, there's instant nausea, there's disorientation, and that might be the thing that saves your life, because most brain aneurysms are diagnosed when they rupture.
And that is what happened to Grant. We will talk more about this on Thursday, but now back to the main camera. Nope, hold on, I lied. Back to the main camera. If you want to drop out for this, you may. We've got a little stuff about Grant here. As you can see, our footer at the bottom, little picture of Grant. We are now going to talk briefly about the man's career, and we have some help from the Hollywood Reporter to do that. If you're a nerd, pay attention to this.
It's not even Mythbusters. It's also people in the chat room. I know met him at Gallifrey 1, which is the Doctor Who convention. He was a maker. He was such a lovely cosplayer, Disney fan. There's a million fandoms that have all lost a really special guy.
Here we go.
Grant Imahara, the host of the popular science show Mythbusters and the Netflix show White Rabbit Project, has died. He was 49. The Hollywood Reporter has learned Imahara died suddenly following a brain aneurysm. A representative for Discovery said in a statement on Monday, "We are heartbroken to hear the sad news about Grant. He was an important part of our Discovery family and a really wonderful man. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family." An electrical engineer and roboticist by training, he joined Discovery's Mythbusters in its 3rd season and was with the show until 2014, when he left with co-hosts Carrie Byron and Tori Belleci. The trio would reunite in 2016 for the Netflix show White Rabbit Project, which lasted for 1 season. On Mythbusters, he used his technical expertise to design and build robots for the show, and also operated the computers and electronics needed to test myths.
We apparently don't have audio.
The great thing about this test is that the characters are...
We'll go back to Maine. We may show this Thursday. Still having some problems with the audio. Last time I played a video, I couldn't hear it. You guys could hear it. This time, we could hear it just fine, and you couldn't hear it.
But we'll tell you a little bit. Grant, if you don't know, you literally can Google Grant, and it will come up for you. But he was an electrical engineer, and he joined ILM right out of... Well, I'm not going to tell you specifically because he went to USC. Yeah. He joined Industrial Light and Magic. It sounds like about 22 years ago.
Superhuman, not super.
Sorry. Okay.
And then eventually joined the cast of Mythbusters when Scotty left, who was part of the build team, and he joined and stayed until 2000. He joined in 2004 and stayed until 2014.
Started with season 3.
He was also a big fan, like I said, a big fan of cosplay. He was he was part of BattleBots. If you watched that, I think I want to say his robot's name might have been Stompy. I can't quite remember, but I will tell you also, I worked in a professional capacity with him, and not very much, but some. And I'm sure there are some folks in the chat room who have done that. I know that Kishore is in there and must be having a very rough day as well. So he worked on a ton of movies that you have seen and love. Some Star Wars movies, Galaxy Quest, the Matrix movies. And the thing that's amazing to me is I found out yesterday evening and was really surprised because he's my age and he was just so lovely and interested in who you were and what you were doing and why you were where you were. Like if we met you at a Comic-Con, why are you here? What are you here to see? What are you interested in? He was so kind and giving and generous and inquisitive, and it sucks. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I barely worked with him and I kind of only tangentially knew him. But that's the reaction that literally everybody I've talked to today, and it's a lot of people for my other job, I've talked to a ton of people, say the same thing. No matter if they knew him and saw him Thursday, or they talked to him on the phone yesterday, they say the same thing. Like, it's not just a loss for me, it's a loss in general because we need good, loving human geeks like that. And he was also Japanese American, and he was a huge, in 2004, that was completely irrelevant on Mythbusters. Like, the fact that he was Japanese American was completely irrelevant. However, it was hugely important to the Asian American community. And just like everything else he did it with grace and good humor and lots of inquisitive love for the universe.
Now, we are being told the audio was there, so I'm completely mystified at this point. Some people on YouTube could see it, other people couldn't see it. So again, we'll probably just run it. I'll see if I can figure out what happened. We'll run it Thursday. But let me go through. Let me just read this. If you get Nerdwood, or whatever the equivalent of Nerdwood is for you, I don't blame you. Here's what he did visual effects for: Star Wars Episode 3, Triple X State of the Union, Van Helsing, The Matrix Revolutions, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, The Matrix Reloaded, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, AI, Artificial Intelligence, Galaxy Quest, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and The Lost World, Jurassic Park, where he was a model maker and on the miniatures unit. That, my friends, is a blue chip nerd right there. Great, great work.
Actually, Howard, thank you so much. Yes, his BattleBot was named Deadblow.
Deadblow.
Amazing.
Deadblow. Okay, so sorry about the audio, guys. We're still trying to figure this out. Listen, I got a side camera going, and we made some booze for you. So put a sock in it. We'll get it figured out. Gosh.
So here's my thing. If I tangentially knew him and would and he knew my name, I knew his name. We worked together 2-3 times. And saw each other at Comic-Cons and stuff like that. And I would venture a guess that if you're kind of amazed and devastated and mad about 2020 because of this news, I'm right there with you. And so are the people who knew him incredibly well. Mm-hmm. So it's a loss for us all.
It is a loss for us all. And now our purpose on this show is to try and put a smile on your COVID-infected faces. So now we're going to switch over to, it is time for, you guys ready? Questions. Oh, we've got questions. We're like Mickey looking for a score in a dark alley, and he's got his heroin problem, but he doesn't know where to go or how to get some help. So it's Mickey with some questions. I may have lied about the other stuff before, but he does need to know how to get to the highway. So can you help us out? Ladies and gentlemen, we have questions. We've got a wonderful ring walk-up. This will be the first ring walk-up, I believe, that I've done from the GFL universe. Hailing from the Jupiter Net Colony in her first ever professional fight. Welcome to the octagon, Diana the Diamond Droner. Oh, the question we have is from Diana. This is probably not how she sounds, but when I read this question, this is how I imagine Diana the Diamond Droner's voice. Scat, how did you know? How did you come up with all the ideas for the Infected series? Was Perry based on someone you know? I'd like to know this information. Perhaps you could share it with me. Well, Diana, who has a very low, gruff voice and sounds like the person who would be in that dark alley giving directions to Mickey, by the way, and probably would steer Mickey towards some kind of an involuntary organ donor scam where Mickey would wake up with a scar on him and suddenly with one kidney instead of two, although I don't know if mouse kidneys are transplantable at all into people, but I'm sure there are other intelligent mice who need to be saved. So let's not be speciesist, shall we? She wants to know where to get the ideas for Infected. Was Perry based on someone you know? Yes, Perry is based on several people that I know. We grew up and I tell a lot of tales about my hometown of Sheboygan, Michigan, which is in Michigan, right up here, right at the tippy top. And it was not exactly an economically lush area, shall we say. And it really took me moving out of Sheboygan to realize how unbelievably idyllic my life was that my parents gave me, and go elsewhere to be like, holy crap, did I grow up in a friggin' poor area? And there was a lot of domestic abuse and child abuse in Sheboygan. And when I got to college, I started learning about the cycle of violence and how young men and women who are abused as children can wind up perpetuating that cycle of violence and carrying the abuse on to the next generation. They do that either subconsciously or they escape it, or they spend their lives going like, what I went through was awful and I don't want anybody else to go through. But because when you are young, you are literally being programmed. It's evolutionarily built into us. That's why we learn languages so fast when we're young. Why we learn culture so fast. Why we learn right and wrong in a relative area so fast is because over millions of years of evolution, and for humans, 40, 50,000 years of evolution as intelligent beings, you learn fast or you die or you get excommunicated. Now, we're not in that realm anymore, but it's programmed into our brain. So I was learning about the cycle of violence, and we had, there was a couple of kids on the football team who were unbelievably tough and they were able to channel something that I understand now as an older person, but as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, you're not able to put the pieces together, which is how to use all of your power. And Colby Johnson says no spoilers. Respect that, Colby. I will give no spoilers of the show. But in athletics, there are exceptional physiologies, Michael Jordan's, the LeBron James, et cetera. And then some people have an exceptional physiology and then work unbelievably hard like those two gentlemen. Then there are people who don't necessarily have that same toolkit who learn to work very hard, like let's say a Tom Brady, who's an exceptional at what he does, but third round draft pick, nobody predicted him to be anything. And one thing you see early on in high school sports is there are people who are able to use all of their strength and all of their speed, and people who have that killer instinct. And in football, it's a violent sport. And in football, if you want to hit people very, very hard, like it's in here, that helps you succeed. Now, I had incredibly violent tendencies on the football field, but I was literally the smallest guy on the field. They called me Sigler White Pants Johnson because we had orange pants for the team, but we couldn't find any that fit me. So my dad had to go into the not the JV program. He had to go down to the freshman program and get some of their pants for me to wear when I played. I had the mental tools to play football, but I had none of the physical skills, no speed, no strength. I was a wreck in that regard. But we had some kids who had either very solid athletic ability or moderately okay athletic ability, but they would bring everything they had on every play, and they would hit so hard. And no matter how hard you hit them, they would just shrug it off, laugh, get back up, and do everything all over again. So how that comes into play with Perry, if you have that if you've got the killer instinct and you understand how to bring everything that you've got and you don't hold back at all, and you are one of those physical specimens, well, that is where your Division I linebackers and your cornerbacks, and that is where your Ray Lewis's and your all-pro people, they come from that ilk. Amazingly gifted physically, genealogically, and also intelligent, and also vicious. Vicious is the only word for it. So as I got into college, started to learn things, I learned that and learned more about my hometown. I knew very little about my hometown. I was very, very isolated as a kid. That some of those star athletes we had who could just bring the hurt on every single play, and people were afraid to be on the field with them. Several of those kids had been abused as children. They were abused well into high school. A couple of them were abused up until the point where they got into violent fights with their fathers and finally got strong enough and tough enough to whoop their father's ass, and that's the only time that the violence went away. And that was the impetus for Perry. So I took a combination of my love for football and trying to look at people that I grew up with. And this wasn't a Sheboygan thing. This happens all over the world. And it's not even an American thing. The cycle of violence and child abuse is endemic throughout all cultures. But to try and take that and take a character who's incredibly gifted, has the natural physiology of the athletic specimen that can go on to great things, also has the work ethic, because you can have all of the natural speed and strength in the world. And most of you probably know people who have these incredible physical gifts but just don't work hard. And they do okay for a while until they get around other people with physical gifts who do work hard, and then they fade away. Take somebody who has that and has that borderline psychopathic killer instinct of, I know what it's like to hurt. I know what it's like to be hurt. And I guarantee you, when the two of us meet, I'm going to be the one delivering the pain. And that was Perry. And the magic for Perry Dawsey for me was he, as an educated man, was fully aware that he was caught in the cycle of violence. He knew what was happening. He knew he had rage issues. He knew his rage issues had given him a leg up in life, combined with his body and his hard work. But he was fighting against the rage issues all the time. And then, no spoilers, something in the story happens to him, and that razor thin line that he is walking in infected and in contagious, the razor thin line he's walking to try and control himself so he doesn't just lash out at people, because he's 6'5", 255. He can really hurt people by just not even trying, just like, go smack someone because they annoy you, and that person winds up in the hospital or dead. That's how powerful these NFL linebackers are. He fought against it all the time. So his heroism was realizing, I've got this beaten and bred into me, and I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way to supersede this. I'm not going to perpetuate that cycle. And then that's his heroism, and his tragedy is what happens to him drags him back down. So Perry Dawsey is an homage to the guys I went to high school with, the exceptional athletes that I played football with, and a lot of the people I wrestled in college with. And when I watch pro football, I believe you can spot those guys on the drop of a hat. That dude has violence issues, and if he learns to control it and channel it, he can be very successful at his craft. And that is the impetus for that's where Perry Dawsey came from. He is inspired by the gentleman that I played football with when I was in high school.
Yeah. So I will also say that was it Dante Culpepper?
Oh.
Like the real life people who were not people you actually knew also influenced.
Oh gosh, the real life linebackers. Dante Culpepper is the inspiration behind Quentin Barnes.
Sorry.
Combination of Dante Culpepper and Jim McMahon.
Was there a
Bill Romanowski?
That's it.
Lyle Alzado in particular, who was doing an enormous amount of steroids when he won a Super Bowl with the Raiders. But Lyle Alzado also, if you guys want to find a really bad, so bad it's good horror movie, go watch Bulldozer. I think it's Bulldozer or Killdozer. I can't remember which. But Lyle Alzado wrote it out to the gills, acting. It's magnificent. So those were the people who were the kill linebackers. And then I'll tell one other quick story. Dick Butkus broke the mold. No one at that point in the game of football. Not Dick Butkus is going back 50 plus years, I think. Dick Butkus was he was an animal. He was just a creature. And off the field, apparently an incredibly nice, polite gentleman, kind to everybody around him. But on the field, he injured people. And it was at my grandpa's funeral. My grandpa on my dad's side. And my dad played football all through his life. My grandpa he was smaller than me. So he never played football, but he was a semi-pro football coach and an excellent athlete. And when he died, a lot of my dad's high school and college teammates came to pay their respects, both to be there for my dad and because they had known grandpa. And this at the time I was like 21. So a guy came in who had to be like 50. And I'm like, geez, look at that old dude on his crutches. Now I'm 50. Yeah, karma's a bitch. And he comes in and he's on like the single walker crutches. And, he's a little bit overweight. He's got a suit on. He comes in and my dad sees him. And my dad, it's one of the 2 times in my life I've seen my dad cry. And it was 3 times. I've seen my dad cry 3 times. And one was grandpa dying, one was grandma dying, and one was when I played my final football game. So there you go. And this guy comes in and he says hi to dad and he sits down. And dad has to go take care of a bunch of stuff. So he introduces my brother and I to this gentleman. And to this day, I don't remember his name. But this is where I want you guys to pay attention. So the story gets really scary and really good. So this guy played college football. And he played against Dick Butkus in college. And I believe he was a fullback. And so a fullback's job often is to move in the direction of the play, probably find the linebacker or the first available defense person who's coming up trying to stop the running back who you are blocking for. And you get in that guy's way or you knock him on his ass or whatever. So the running back can go past him, past you, and move on to get positive yardage. So this guy comes out to face Dick Butkus, who went on to be one of, if not the greatest linebacker of all time. And this is a big man. Like the guy, when he was playing college ball, had to be at the time, like 185 was a big person way back in the 60s. So he's probably like 195, 200 pound, 210 pound guy. He comes out to face Dick Butkus, and he said he was terrified because you could see in Dick Butkus's eyes that this guy was not all there. Your instinct as a living being is to stay away from the super predator. And Dick Butkus on the field was super predator. So he comes out to block Dick Butkus. Remember, the whole time the guy's talking to me, he's on his crutches, and I assume, he's just old or whatever. He said he went to block Dick Butkus. Dick Butkus grabbed him here, picked him up off his feet, moved him aside, slammed him down. And when he slammed him down, he broke both of the guy's knees. And the guy never played football again and has walked with canes ever since. And of course, 20-year-old me is just like, oh, this is the greatest story I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, aside from your knees breaking.
Story. But this is a terrible story.
You played football against Dick Butkus and he broke both your knees and now you're still on crutches 30 years later. This is amazing. But that story made a huge impact on me because even in a pack of timber wolves, apex predators, the most powerful creatures in their ecosystem, there is one in that system that can whoop everyone else's ass. And that was Dick Butkus and that was Perry Dawsey. And that is where I got my inspiration for Perry Dawsey from.
So we have a few more minutes. And my great good friend Amy, who I just was talking about, was like, thank you so much for that. Now pull your shit together. So I've done that. And she's right, because the right way to celebrate the great good fortune of having had Grant in our lives is by doing fun, cool, geeky things. So we're going to answer a few questions.
What we're going to do. What do we got, AK? You got some in there? I
love this question. Dan Williams is in the chat room, I think from Florida, I thought you said. I'm not really sure. But he asks, who have you met that you just geeked out on? And I at least have one for you that I saw.
Go ahead.
At the Bodied Premiere.
Go ahead.
Anthony Michael Hall.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness, you guys. I have one, too. I'll tell you mine. But if you have any questions, just ask them in the chat room. If we don't get to them today, we'll get to them. We're going to be here a long time.
Of course, I have some fans who are big fans, and it took a while to get used to the concept of, wait a minute, there are people who are so excited they can barely talk when they talk to me. Like, that doesn't, okay, I love you. You're great. We're going to work through this. We'll hang out. We'll have a beer. This is going to be fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like, it happens all the time. I can't even walk down the street without people throwing their clothes at me. It's not like that, but every now and then at a con, people flip out. And you see it a lot on Instagram now, particularly with the Generations trilogy. You wind up meeting someone who is just crazy, crazy, crazy for Alive, A Light, and Alone. And I didn't really get what that feeling was like because I came from a very small town and I have never actually met anybody famous. And then gradually, from hanging out with A, who's very fancy and knows many fancy people, I start to meet famous people. I'm like, well, this is really fun. And then we go to the Bodied Premiere, which is a movie directed by Joseph Kahn.
Totally worth seeing when you can. A
fantastic movie, and Joseph Kahn is the director of many of the Britney Spears videos and Taylor Swift videos. Yeah. He did Toxic by Britney Spears. Like he is the most successful video director of all time when you add up total YouTube counts. He does this movie, and he and I have been working on a project together. So he invites us to the premiere, go to the premiere, and watch the movie. I'm like, watching the movie, we're like, holy shit, is that Anthony Michael Hall? Because of course, if you grew up when I grew up, Anthony Michael Hall in Breakfast Club and Weird Science, this dude is amazing. I can quote much of Weird Science because I just love the guy. We get done, and we've got to do a couple of Hollywoody type things, but very, very few. So we get done with the premiere. We're there for the premiere, red carpet walk up and everything, and then we go to the bar. And I'm at the bar, and I briefly talked to Joseph. He's very busy. Talking to Jackie Long, who's the star of Bodied, who I'd never met before, who is what an awesome, awesome dude. Awesome dude. Caleb Worthy, we got to talk to him for a little bit. He's the other, Jackie and he are the co-leads. And I look at the bar, I'm like, God, that guy looks familiar. And the guy's sitting all by himself at the bar. Yeah?
No, so I'm sorry, I'm breaking in because this is so magical, right? Scott, who I have been with him. Some of you guys have been with him when somebody comes up and says, oh my God, I can't believe I get to buy Scott Sigler beer or whatever. We watch the entire movie. We go to the after party thing because Scott at the time was working with the director. And he's like, is that Anthony Michael Hall at the bar? That's Anthony Michael Hall at the bar. Is that Anthony Michael? I'm like, yeah, he played the guy's dad. And Anthony Michael Hall had done such a good job as an adult.
I forgot that.
Sinking into this college professor role that he had, or dean of students role, I guess, that he had in the movie, that Scott recognized him at the after party, and until he recognized him at the after party, didn't get that he was the dean of. No, it's great. It's a beauty. It's the best compliment you can give an actor, right? Like he watched that entire movie, and didn't, because if you'd noticed, 20 minutes in when you first saw him, then it would become more about your experience with Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah, I can't look away. That's Anthony Michael Hall, but I didn't catch it when he saw
and I was like, yeah, and then he was like, oh my God, he was in the movie. I'm like, yeah, that's why he's here.
I'm like, dude, the 1980s king of the nerds is here. Anthony Michael Hall is here. So I got to go up to him, and I have found that as I always try to be real smooth. Like I try to be Billy D. Williams smooth when I talk to people. Give them a smile. Appreciate what they're saying. Hello, how are you? Thank you for the compliment. How lovely you enjoyed the book. What are you up to these days? Make things normal. I found I can do that as a creator, as a fan, no chance at all. I lose all my composure. I walk up to the bar and I'm like, oh my God, Anthony Michael Hall. Love doing Weird Science. Can I buy a drink? Can I buy you beer? Whatever. And I'm like, okay, so now every time I've had an out of control nerd come up to me at a con, and I have to be like, cool, of course you can. This is cool. No problem. Everything's cool, man. And now I'm like, flip the other side of the coin. And he was a very nice guy, and bought him a beer, had a quick drink. He said his polite goodbyes, and he moved on, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
that's one where I lost my shit. We'll tell you other ones at other times. The other ones are mostly musical, I think.
And I have a couple that I will talk about. On Thursday, I will tell you my most favorite celebrity encounter. I will also pre-spoil y'all and say that I do logistics for people who have some fame, so I have access sometimes. But my favorite one was when I was 17 years old and I didn't know anybody still. So anyway, it is 7:00. We're almost 7:00. So we're probably going to shut this down and come back to you guys on Thursday because it's been a pretty big day. So if you have questions, celebrations, suggestions for charities, literally anything that you think would be a topic that this diverse group of folks will like to chat about. If you have comments on the drinks or suggestions for drinks, please put them in the chat room right now, or much preferred, email them to info@emptyset. We're probably going to be here until this time next year at the earliest. That's what it looks like. So we've got plenty of time. Send them all in.
Kishore, I saw your comment. Yes, Barry Sanders would have been it, but I've never actually met Barry Sanders in person. So there you go. My buddies have met Barry Sanders in person and lost their crap. Somebody also asked, I think they said, will the upcoming GFL books wind up on graphic audio? I'm going to say I assume so, because graphic audio seems very happy with what we've done so far. But in the COVID world, who effing knows what's going on with everybody's business right now?
And I will add that we have such a great
Jude's
relationship. Hey, Jude, how are you? We have such a great relationship with graphic audio that our contract is, I won't say it's open-ended, but it is definitely right of first refusal. They can tell us if they want them, and that's contracted. They literally do that, but they're very communicative. They're awesome. They're great folks. And as you guys all, if you're a graphic audio fan, you know they're transitioning to a digital-only concept, so that actually works in the COVID world. They didn't do that before COVID. They were doing that over the last 18 months, but they did do that. I hope that they enjoy all of them, and I hope that they engage us with all of them because they're terrific folks.
Nelson McClintock says he was at a con in NYC, turned around to see Isaac Asimov standing next to him, and he ran away. Not Isaac Asimov. Nelson ran away. So if you guys want to hear my George R. R. Martin story, I will tell you my George R. R. Martin story in the future. So if you will email request to my George R. R. Martin story to info@emptyset.com, we will tell you that. If you also request to hear my In This Moment story, you have to send a request to info@emptyset.com.
And you want to hear the George R. R. Martin story? Absolutely. I'd probably tell you that anyway.
I got two. I got two of them. He's a hell of a guy. I can tell you that right now.
And
He's
I will tell you,
nice
I actually
guy.
have two that I would say were really important to me. And one, I was in the 8th grade in Vancouver, Washington, where at least a couple of junkies live nearby. And I met Anne McCaffrey, and it was spectacular and very, very moving. But my 17-year-old one is the most I'll never get over kind of thing. So we will see you guys all on Thursday.
And Thursday's a big day, right? Hey, that's Thursday, July 16th, which marks what?
It marks the 51st anniversary of the Apollo 11 mission leaving near Earth orbit, and it was the launch day for the Apollo 11 mission. So we're going to celebrate.
We're spoiled now. We send ships into space all the time. Whatever. It's like throwing out an old T-shirt. It doesn't matter. It's fine. But there was a time when launching a human being off of this planet was completely game changing. So hopefully we'll talk about that, or I'll tell fart jokes. It'll be one of the two. I'm not sure.
Thank you guys. We're going to sign off with our normal sign off, but I want to say thank you for putting up with my less than professional day here, because it was a rough day for me and for a lot of you guys too. So from now on, maybe a little less crying on the cast. That's probably better. But until we see you on Thursday, stay safe, stay science, stay smart. Oh, did I do it backwards? Sorry.
Stay safe, stay smart, stay science. Sayonara, RIP, Grant, and we will see you all on the next show. And here's our big dating game kiss.